It seems that Peter Gabriel fans no longer consult Melody Maker, but in fact the lunar calendar, and hand in hand on the edge of the sand they danced by the light of the moon. Peter Gabriel's much anticipated new album is due out soon, although I don't think we actually have a release date as yet. It's just being fed to us with every full moon, like little crumbs of cheese that drop from a great table where a prog giant gorges himself on the critical acclaim that these songs have so far garnered. So I thought we'd take a look at what has arrived in our orbit so far, and what this tells us about this forthcoming album, the first album of original material since, I think, 2002's Up. The first song to be released was Panopticon. This came out in January of this year. I'm specifically looking at the Bright Side mix. I love the jangle of guitars, which kind of surrenders to these industrial percussive textures. That's before we get that Gabriel-esque purr that we all slaver over so much. It almost sounds like a track that wouldn't be out of place on the latest Gary Newman album. That's before we get to the chorus, which is accompanied by a breezy strum of acoustic guitars. A track that feels rather upbeat, which is rather odd given it shares its name with that famous circular prison as conceived by Jeremy Bentham, I think. Gabriel in fact said of this number, "The first song is based on an idea I've been working on to initiate the creation of an infinitely expandable, accessible data globe, the Panopticon. We are beginning to connect like-minded group of people who might be able to bring this to life, to allow the world to see itself better and understand more of what's really going on." I love the double tracking on the vocals. Almost adds a kind of a menace to it in a way. That's before we get to the chorus, which is breezy, yet dark as well, if that isn't a contradiction. Industrial perhaps is a befitting adjective, I think, for this song. You get those dark factory-like booms as Gabriel's lyrics focus on secret barriers found in cold surroundings. And Brian Eno's touches and flourishes on this are just absolutely wonderful, as they usually are. And his voice sounds great as well. I'd love to know how he's been sounding live, if any of you perhaps sold a kidney and bought a ticket. The next is The Court, and for this I'm specifically looking at the Dark Side mix as well, as I kind of lean in that general direction. I love the percussive clatter that opens this one, I really do, with Gabriel's almost rap-like vocals. The song almost has maybe it's just me, but it almost has a Talking Heads type vibe, with this use of vocal artifice as well, perhaps representing a kind of lack of sincerity, almost robotic-like, devoid of emotion. The sixth verse and the way it bleeds into the outro is absolutely stunning. What I find about Gabriel's work on this album is a skillful managing of the build of tension, I think, of these songs. And Gabriel seems to point to the very fuzzy line between good and evil, I think, in this number, which is, I think, further driven home by that beautiful piano-backed outro. But I think it's the emphasis on the instrumental elements in here that speak of a poignancy and delicacy. It's a well-layered piece, beautifully atmospheric. Next one was Playing for Time. I'm looking at the Bright Side mix. Love this somber chime of the piano notes here that introduces this one. A slight echo of the Funeral March, which is quite clever as it beautifully introduces the theme of life and the end of life, mortality. But also evokes a sense of, I think, loneliness, and resignation out among the stars, he sings. I mean, how lonely is that? And I love the way these songs are being released piecemeal. We get a kind of a prog slow burn, if you will, especially in an age where attention spans are fundamentally corrupted, I think, by the deluge of ephemeral media clips and TikToked moments. These songs, as they're released, one critic described them as like a barista serving slices of Moorish cake. And this number has beautiful pacing, I think. It's staggered and melodic, at times sharp yet soulful. Just the piano and voice. I can honestly say, in terms of Gabriel's material, this is an introspective masterclass. It's fabulous. And he has a lot of time on this album to play with and explore the starkness of some of the themes perhaps he wants to address. I also love the use of strings on this one, and the idea of passing time as a theme, where that cold hour of reason, I think John Betjeman describes the end of childhood is also perfectly explored perhaps. Four Kinds of Horses, the Dark Side mix. A pulsing electronic and a soupy bass very much defines the opening of this one as we think of the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. I read somewhere that the nags in question are in fact organisations that aim to promote peace, but are the cause of chaos. I love the stabs of strings on this. Again, the instrumentation, ornamentation of these numbers is absolutely wonderful. Apparently the title is actually based on a Buddhist parable of the four kinds of horses which stand for different paths a student can approach their spiritual practice. This number just rumbles along, in the words of Uncut, on thick metallic bass lines and lustrous strings. There's no doubt that this piece has an epic grandeur to it. The Road to Joy, the Bright Side mix, the road less taken perhaps. Starts with a kind of a joyful twinkle of instrumentation. I love the funky James Brown vibe to this, and the chorus with an eerie synth line accompanied by the humming backing vocals, all very, very effective, especially with those stabbing strums of guitar. And Brian Eno once more features on this one, as well as singers from the Soweto Gospel Choir. Peter Gabriel said, I'm working on a project which is partly a story focused around the brain and how we perceive things, and this song connects to that. It deals with near-death experience and locked-in syndrome situations where people are unable to communicate or to move. It's an amazingly frustrating condition. It's a lyric about coming back into your senses, back to life, back into the world. Road to Joy seems to suggest that a sense of an awakening, really, which probably links into what Gabriel's just said. A slice of Gabriel-esque prog candy, I think. Next one is So Much, which is again, this is the Dark Side mix. Love the solo piano accompaniment on this one. I'm thinking of Leonard Cohen's I'm Ready when I hear this. There was a pained sense of resignation to it all. I love the line, an old man I was born, but I've grown to be a baby with halo and horn. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Gabriel has said of this number, so much is about mortality and getting old. But I think when you get to my sort of age, you either run away from mortality or you jump into it and try and live life to the full. And that always seems to make a lot more sense to me. The countries that seem most alive are those that have death as very much part of their culture. The next song is Olive Tree. This is the Bright Side mix. The song that rightly or wrongly reminds me of something from, perhaps lifted from Paul Simon's Graceland. But it's an album that immediately darkens, I think, with the intro of Gabriel's vocals and the various horticultural metaphors. The olive tree is a metaphor itself, perhaps of someone in unison with nature, I think. Vital and full of life, Olive Tree tells of someone feeling connected to nature, who enters other worlds, who gets in touch with other kinds of life. Interestingly, during the tour, Gabriel announced this song, explained this song by saying that it will soon be possible to convert thoughts of the brain into video images. This can be done with the help of an electrode helmet that detects brain activity. Not that successful on viewers of Love Island or Millwall fans, I have to say. Private things can then become accessible and readable, no doubt strengthening marriages across this great nation. Might be a quite frightening thought for those of us who believe that we're already way too observed. And then Gabriel says we will no longer be lonely islands, we'll all be connected. Isn't that just tickety-boo? The next one, the latest release, is actually Love Can Heal. This is the Bright Side mix. Again, incredibly atmospheric, almost evocative of something emerging. I absolutely found this one profoundly moving when I listened to it. The sombre sound of the cello can be heard as well, which enriches, adds a lushness to the sound, I think. This music is incredibly beautiful and moving. He sings in a higher register. It seems like a call for humanity in these ever-darkening times. I love the female vocals that have a very soothing effect in this one. Reminds me a little bit of Kate Bush's role in the number Don't Give Up. So there you are, that's the songs that have been released so far on the new Gabriel album, I.O. We still don't have a release date for this, as far as I know. And on the strength of this material, I just cannot wait to buy it. It sounds absolutely wonderful. Anyway, let me know what you think. Do you like Peter Gabriel? Are you enjoying this new material? Do you intend to buy this album? As always, leave your wonderful comments below. Please do engage by clicking like, smash that like button and click subscribe and do all that stuff. And check the notification bell, as that's ever so important. All helps that algorithm and helps this channel grow. Other than that, I'll leave you with my closing salvo, which, as you know, is hope you're well, staying safe, and that you keep listening.